Greetings everyone. We take a look at Rachel Lamb's response to some serious allegations made against Joanie Lamb on her latest show. In this video, Rachel fiercely defended Joanie, pointing out that the claims are completely false. However, Joanie's critics have now stepped forward with significant details that challenge Rachel's defense, sparking an intense back and forth between both sides. What's the real story? Stay tuned as we uncover the twists and turns of this explosive controversy. Rachel Lamb has always been someone who speaks her mind, especially when it comes to defending her family. In her recent statements about Joni Lamb, Rachel has been incredibly vocal about her unwavering support for her mother-in-law. She describes Joni as a woman who has dedicated her life to her faith, her family, and her ministry. Rachel paints a picture of Joni as a strong, compassionate woman who has faced a lot of challenges but has always risen above them with grace. Rachel firmly believes that Joni has been misunderstood by many, especially those who don't know the full story. She calls out the allegations against Joni, saying that people are quick to judge without understanding the complexities of the situation. According to Rachel, there are some people with hidden motives trying to hurt Joni's reputation, using false information to make her look bad. Rachel makes it clear that these people don't have the best interests of Joni or her ministry at heart. Rachel also emphasizes that Joani's role in the ministry has always been one of service and love. She highlights the countless lives Joanie has touched through her work, the support she's given to others, and the way she's built up the Daystar network alongside her family. Rachel talks about how Joanie has been a constant source of strength for those around her, including herself. She believes that Joani's kindness, generosity, and dedication have been overshadowed by those who want to tear her down. For Rachel, Joanie is not just a figurehead in the ministry. She's a mother, a grandmother, and a woman of deep faith. She's the backbone of the Lamb family, and Rachel sees Joanie as someone who has always acted with integrity. Rachel's words about Joanie reflect her deep admiration for the woman she's become and the strength she's shown throughout her life. Rachel is determined to stand by Joanie, and she's made it clear that no matter what others say, Joanie's legacy will always be one of love, strength, and faithfulness. She encourages others to see Joanie for who she truly is, not just through the lens of rumors or distorted facts. In Rachel's eyes, Joanie Lamb is a true example of what it means to live a life of service and faith, and she's going to fight to make sure that truth is recognized.
Professional validation. Pete is exonerated. On August 20th, 2021, Pete and his wife met with Debbie Linhart, LLC, a forensic child psychologist, to continue their thorough and professional response to the allegations. Seeking clarification to ensure the process adhered to professional guidelines, Pete's wife asked Denise Boggs if she could be present during the interview or if Debbie wanted to interview Pete alone.
Rachel Lamb has always been someone who speaks her mind, and recently she's been particularly vocal about defending her family against some very serious allegations. When the rumors and accusations started flying about her family, particularly about her mother-in-law, Joni Lamb, Rachel wasn't about to let anyone tarnish the reputation of the people she cares about. In a passionate and candid interview, Rachel made it clear that she wasn't going to let these unfounded claims slide. The allegations against Joni, and by extension the Lamb family, were extremely serious, involving everything from financial misconduct to personal betrayals. People within their circle were questioning the integrity of the Lambs, but Rachel wasn't having it. She made it clear that these accusations were based on misinformation and a clear misunderstanding of the situation. Rachel refused to stand by and let false narratives take root. She explained how much these accusations hurt, not just her family, but the entire community that has supported them for years. For Rachel, it was important to clear the air and show that these allegations were not only false, but they were also fueled by envy and resentment. She stated that people with their own agendas were trying to discredit the Lamb family in order to bring them down. She didn't mince words when it came to calling out these individuals, who she claimed had their own personal reasons for trying to attack her family. Rachel stressed that they were motivated by jealousy, personal grudges, or a desire for attention, and their accusations had no basis in fact. Rachel spoke passionately about the way her family had been targeted by these accusations. She pointed out that over the years, the Lamb family had built their ministry on love, faith, and the genuine desire to help others. She stressed that every step of the way, Joanie and her husband Marcus Lamb had acted with integrity and had made decisions that were in the best interest of both their ministry and their family. To Rachel, these attacks on her family weren't just attacks on their reputation, but on everything they had worked so hard to build. One of the things Rachel emphasized in her deflection of the allegations was the overwhelming support that her family had received from their community. She mentioned how many people had come forward to defend them, showing that the Lamb family wasn't alone in this fight. The support was not just about the Lamb family's status as prominent figures in the religious world, but about the real, heartfelt relationships they had built over the years. Rachel was quick to point out how these relationships spoke volumes about the integrity and character of her family. She argued that the Lambs had made a genuine impact on so many lives, and that impact couldn't be erased by false claims or the motivations of those who sought to harm them. Rachel also addressed the financial accusations, which seemed to be one of the central points of contention. The claims involved accusations that the Lamb family had mismanaged ministry funds or used donations inappropriately. Rachel rejected these accusations outright, saying that her family had always been transparent about their finances and that their ministry was accountable to their supporters. She went into detail about how the Lambs had invested in their ministry, how much of their personal resources had gone into building it up, and how they had always sought to be good stewards of the donations they received. She pointed out that, like any organization, there were always going to be people who didn't understand the intricacies of managing such a large ministry, and they would jump to conclusions without knowing the full story. What Rachel made clear was that these attacks weren't just about misunderstandings or financial mismanagement. They were personal. These were people who, for one reason or another, wanted to see the Lamb family fail. But Rachel wasn't backing down. She stood by her family, firmly asserting that these accusations were not only false, but also damaging to the faith and trust they had built with their supporters. Another key point Rachel raised was the emotional toll these accusations were taking on the family. She spoke openly about how hurtful it was to see their integrity questioned after years of dedication to their faith and their ministry. She mentioned how hard it had been for Joni to deal with the public fallout, especially when her intentions had always been to help others. But despite the pain, Rachel made it clear that her family wasn't giving up. They were going to continue to stand by the truth, no matter how many people tried to tear them down. Rachel's defense wasn't just about the Lamb family's reputation. It was about the larger issue of how easily people can be torn down by rumors and unfounded accusations. She spoke about the importance of discernment and understanding, and how important it was to look beyond the surface and seek the truth. To Rachel, these allegations weren't just an attack on her family. They were an attack on the very values of integrity and faith that the Lamb family had spent years promoting, and Rachel wasn't going to let that stand. In the end, Rachel's words served as both a defense of her family and a call to action for others to think critically about the stories they hear and the people they listen to. She encouraged her followers to stand firm in their faith, to trust in what they knew to be true, and to continue supporting the Lamb family as they navigated this difficult time. Rachel knew that, in the end, the truth would prevail. She was committed to ensuring that her family's legacy would remain intact, no matter the lies and rumors being spread around them. Rachel's deflection of the allegations was a powerful statement about loyalty, integrity, and the strength of family. She made it clear that no matter how many people tried to tear them down, the Lamb family would continue to stand strong, supported by the truth and by the love of their community.
Denise consulted with Debbie, who confirmed she wanted to interview both Pete and his wife together. With this decision made, Denise, Debbie, Pete, and his wife all met, where Debbie conducted a comprehensive and in-depth interview. During the session, Debbie asked a series of detailed questions, which both Pete and his wife answered thoroughly and candidly, demonstrating their full cooperation and commitment to addressing this matter professionally. In the meeting, Debbie said none of this would hold up in a court of law, and it was her conclusion that this was nothing more than a big family mess, fueled by years of jealousy, competition, and lack of relationship. After hours of meeting, Denise walked Debbie to her car where they had a conversation. When Denise walked in, she let Pete and his wife know she had exonerated Pete.
Did you say those words?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Rachel had always been fiercely protective of her family, especially when it came to the accusations that were swirling around them. For years, the Lamb family had built a legacy rooted in faith, trust, and helping others. It wasn't just about the ministry or the outreach, it was about the love and connection they had with their supporters. But now, as allegations against her family began to surface, Rachel knew that she had to defend her loved ones, and she was determined to do so with unwavering loyalty. It all started when rumors began circulating about financial mismanagement within the ministry. People who had once been close to the family began questioning the Lamb's financial practices, casting doubts on the integrity of their operations. These allegations seemed to grow stronger with every passing day, especially after some former associates made public statements that suggested a darker side to the Lamb family's business dealings. But Rachel wasn't going to let her family be painted with the same broad brush. She knew that her family had worked hard to build what they had, and she wasn't going to let a few accusations ruin everything. From the beginning, Rachel took a stand. She spoke out against the rumors, defending her family with passion and a level of conviction that was impossible to ignore. She made it clear that she wasn't just defending her family's reputation, but also the values they had worked so hard to instill in their community. In interviews and public statements, Rachel talked about the love and care that went into the ministry. She emphasized that the Lamb family had always been transparent about their finances and that their ministry was built on trust. She pointed out that, like any large organization, there would always be people who didn't understand the complexity of the operations and would jump to conclusions without having all the facts. But Rachel didn't just stop at defending the Lamb family's financial practices. She also spoke about the loyalty that her family had for each other. She talked about how, despite the stress and strain of the allegations, they had stuck together. They had always supported each other through thick and thin, and Rachel made it clear that nothing was going to change that. In her mind, family loyalty wasn't just a concept, it was a way of life. Rachel's defense of her family was also deeply personal. She wasn't just defending her parents, Joni and Marcus Lamb. She was defending the life they had built together, the values they had taught her, and the lessons they had passed down. She spoke about the love and respect they had for each other, and how that respect extended beyond the family to the community they had served for so many years. For Rachel, family loyalty wasn't just about blood, it was about the bonds that had been formed over a lifetime of shared experiences and common goals. One of the most important things Rachel focused on was the idea of standing up for the truth. She knew that the accusations against her family were based on a small fragment of the story, and she wasn't going to let those fragments define who they were. Rachel talked about how the Lamb family had always been committed to living out their faith, and how every decision they made was done with the best intentions. She expressed how frustrating it was to see people take isolated events and turn them into something they weren't. But Rachel wasn't going to back down. She was ready to fight for the truth, no matter what it took. Through it all, Rachel never wavered in her loyalty to her family. She knew that, despite the challenges they faced, the Lambs had always done their best to live according to their values, and Rachel wasn't about to let anyone question that. She spoke about how her family had dedicated their lives to helping others, and how their ministry had touched the lives of countless people. For Rachel, the work her family had done, both in ministry and in their personal lives, spoke volumes about who they truly were. The allegations didn't define them, and she made sure everyone knew that. Rachel also made it clear that loyalty wasn't just about defending her family in public. It was about standing by them behind closed doors as well. She talked about how, in private, the Lamb family had supported each other through the most difficult moments of their lives. The trials and hardships they faced together only strengthened their bond, and Rachel's unwavering loyalty was a testament to that. She made it clear that no matter what the media or the public said, her family would remain strong because they had each other. As the allegations against her family grew more intense, Rachel's defense only became more resolute. She wasn't just standing up for her family's honor, she was standing up for the values they had built their ministry on. She spoke about how important it was to continue to love and support others, especially when things got tough. For Rachel, the challenges her family was facing were just another opportunity to show the world what true loyalty, love, and faith looked like. Rachel's defense wasn't just a public relations campaign, it was a deeply personal act of love and loyalty to her family. She wasn't interested in playing the victim or deflecting blame. Instead, she wanted to make sure that everyone understood the truth, that her family had always acted with integrity and that they had never wavered from their commitment to helping others. She wanted people to see that no matter what accusations were thrown their way, the Lamb family would always stand together, united by love, loyalty, and faith. In the end, Rachel's defense was a powerful reminder of the strength of family. She showed the world that despite the challenges they faced, the Lamb family would never be broken by lies and rumors. They were a family built on love, loyalty, and faith, and nothing would ever change that. Rachel's commitment to her family was clear in everything she said and did, and it was a testament to the values that had always been at the heart of their ministry.
I mean,
No, it was,
how would
yeah,
one exonerate something so serious in one session.
Yes. No, and see, the problem was that it was a long session because Debbie would ask questions and then Rachel would answer them. And so Debbie kept trying to have questions that Pete would engage in, but that didn't happen. And so that was the conversation when we went to the car. She said, I wasn't even able to do a thorough investigation, assessment. She said, because he didn't really answer one question himself. She answered them all. So she said, I can't do anything.
Rachel's voice was filled with frustration and disbelief as she stood before the camera, addressing the growing controversy that had begun to engulf her mother, Joni Lamb. The media frenzy had reached its peak, and rumors and misinformation about Johnny and the Lamb family were swirling. As the allegations mounted, Rachel knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. She had to defend her mother and set the record straight. With a deep breath, Rachel began, her tone calm but laced with emotion. I want to start by addressing something that's been bothering me for a while now, she said, looking directly into the camera. I've been watching, just like everyone else, as my family's name has been dragged through the mud. It's been frustrating, to say the least, to see how people are so quick to misrepresent the truth, especially when it comes to my mother, Joni. Rachel paused for a moment, collecting her thoughts. For those who don't know, my mom has been a beacon of strength, compassion, and integrity for as long as I can remember. She's built her life, her career, and her ministry on the values of love, respect, and faith. But somehow, these values are being twisted and manipulated by people who don't know the real story. Rachel's frustration was palpable. You see, the thing that bothers me the most is how easily people can take one part of a situation, blow it out of proportion, and then use it to tear someone down. That's exactly what's happening with my mom right now. People are taking her words, her actions, and her intentions and misrepresenting them to fit their own narrative. And it's hurtful. It's not just wrong, it's malicious. She leaned forward slightly, her voice growing more intense. My mother has been incredibly transparent throughout her career. She's never hidden behind anything. She's been open with our followers, with our family, with our community. But when certain individuals feel threatened, or when they see an opportunity to make a name for themselves, they take advantage of that openness. They twist it, manipulate it, and then act like they've uncovered some grand conspiracy. It's disgusting. Rachel paused for a moment, as if weighing her words carefully. The most recent example of this misrepresentation came from people who claim that Joni Lamb was somehow hiding the truth, or that she was part of a scheme to mislead others. These are baseless accusations, and they couldn't be further from the truth. My mother has always been honest about her intentions and her work. She's never tried to deceive anyone, and the idea that she would is simply laughable. Rachel's voice softened slightly, but there was still a sense of determination behind every word. I know my mother, I know her heart, and I know that every decision she's made has been driven by her love for God and her desire to help others. For anyone to suggest otherwise is not only offensive, it's a complete distortion of the woman I know and love. She continued, for years, Joni has poured her heart into Daystar and into the lives of countless people. She's been a guiding light for so many, offering wisdom, comfort, and encouragement to anyone who needs it. Yet here we are, with people trying to tear down everything she's worked for. It's not just frustrating, it's heartbreaking. Rachel's expression grew more serious as she continued. I've heard the accusations. I've seen the videos. I've read the articles. And I'm telling you right now, none of it is true. My mother is not the person these people are trying to make her out to be. She's not a villain. She's not a manipulator. She's not a liar. She's a woman who's dedicated her life to helping others, and she's done it with grace and integrity. Rachel leaned back in her chair, letting out a deep breath. It's so easy for people to take a snippet of someone's life, blow it out of proportion, and use it against them. But let me tell you something. What you see in the media, what you read in the headlines, is not the whole story. It's a distorted version, a twisted narrative created by people who want to see someone fall. She shook her head. And the worst part? They're using my mother as a pawn in their game. They know that if they can take her down, they can make a name for themselves. They can fuel the fire, stir up controversy, and get people to talk. But they're not interested in the truth. They're interested in power, control, and manipulation. And that's what's so dangerous about all of this. Rachel's eyes narrowed, her voice filled with conviction. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to tell you the truth. My mother, Joni Lamb, is a woman of integrity. She's done more for people than most people could ever dream of. She's worked tirelessly to build Daystar, to support her family, and to help others find their faith. And she's done all of this with a pure heart. Her tone softened once more, but there was still a fire in her eyes. I know it's hard for some people to understand the work we do, the impact we've had, and the sacrifices we've made. But the truth is simple. We are here to help. We're here to serve. And anyone who tries to twist that into something sinister is doing so out of malice, not truth. Rachel paused for a moment, letting her words sink in. I know my mom, I know her heart, and I'll defend her until the very end. The people who are trying to destroy her name have no idea who she really is. But I do, and I won't let them get away with it. As she finished, Rachel's voice was calm but resolute. So, let me say this clearly. Joanie Lamb is not the person these allegations claim she is. She is a woman of faith, love, and integrity, and anyone who tries to misrepresent her will have to answer to the truth. Rachel took a deep breath and looked directly into the camera. This is just the beginning. The truth will come out, and when it does, everyone will see Joanie Lamb for who she really is. A woman who's given her life to helping others. A woman who deserves respect, and a woman who will never be brought down by lies and rumors.